I'm hitting record, and whenever you're ready, feel free to share your screen.
Okay. All right. So let me start sharing my screen. Okay. Okay, let me try that again. Okay. Let's see. For some reason, let me try again. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yep, we can.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha. Wasn't quite sure about that. Okay. Welcome, everyone. How is everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone is doing pretty good today. And what I wanted to do is start off with definitely our topic, engagement using Zoom, Zoom in and not Zoom out. So how can we definitely increase engagement? So this is one of the tactics that you can use when you're doing a meeting. So if everyone would be so kind to either respond using text, your mobile device, or using the URL polev.com/ITS workshop. What is your favorite day of the week? What is your favorite day of the week? Okay, so we'll wait a few minutes. Oh, I think everyone has said, Vanessa, payday. Oh, okay, Friday. Okay, 50-50. All right, we're still getting some votes in there. Okay, it's going back up and down. It's a competition between payday and Friday. None of the above.
Nobody likes hump day, Sharice.
No one likes hump day. No one likes Wednesdays. Okay, all right. So what we're gonna do now is another quick question. So this is more of a trivia question. And you can use this to definitely engage your users. What I'm using right now is Poll Everywhere. So if you can be so kind to respond to who is on the US $2 bill. Okay, let's see. We're going Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson. Okay, it's 50-50. All right. Okay. So it looks like most people definitely, oh, we're still getting some votes in there, Vanessa. Okay. All right. Okay. So it looks like, oh, okay, we have a couple more people. Okay. All right. So I'm going to say at this point, the winning answer is definitely Thomas Jefferson. Okay. So for George Washington, right? That's the $1 bill. And the $10 bill is Alexander Hamilton. All right. So let's continue. Okay. So today's agenda. We're going to talk about before going live with your Zoom meeting. Then we're going to go into the main part of today's session, which is the demo, and we're going to go into Zoom land. And then definitely, if you have questions, feel free to either unmute yourself or use the chat feature. Okay. So top 5 things before your meeting. So quiet room, location, okay? Sometimes that can be challenging, definitely if you're in an office or working remote. Number 2, test your audio. So correct me if I'm wrong, Vanessa and anybody else, the audio, you can hear me just fine. Some people, sometimes they want to put on the headset and that can increase, audio quality. But if you have, if you're talking loud and clearly, just like I'm doing right now, I think this works for me. Also, good lighting is also one of the things you should definitely think about. So right now I'm working remote and I'm close to the window. So I have the curtains open. I have a white background. So that definitely can be helpful for engagement. Latest version of Zoom. So you want to make sure that you go into Zoom and update to the latest version so that you won't have any technical obstacles during your presentation. And I'm going to move this out the way. And then this is not a must. However, I suggest that you have a co-host or facilitator. If you have a large group of, let's say, more than 6 people, 7 going into 20, 30, 40, 50 people, it definitely helps to have a co-host and or facilitator. In this case, my colleague Vanessa is helping out. Okay. Now, you definitely want to have your audience engage. Theoretically, it would be helpful if you can have your audience looking like all the smiling faces that you have on this screen. Okay, but sometimes that just does not happen. So you have to find the compromise or the middle ground of how you can keep everyone engaged but not bored. Okay, so now it's demo time. So I'm going to toggle out of my PowerPoint here. Okay, now I'm just gonna double check here. There's a chat there. Okay, I find the headset decreases audio. Sounds tiny. Okay, all right. We have one person who definitely agrees. Thank you for that comment. Okay. All right. So let me continue. Now, one of the challenging things definitely, besides audio and in keeping your audience engaged, is that a lot of people may not feel comfortable with doing a live video, okay? And so if you truly want to increase engagement, I would suggest definitely you as the host or the facilitator, definitely not go to, I'm just going to click here, stop video, right? And then I'm going to start video back, okay? So you want to form a relationship with your audience. So by me not showing myself, I think that diminishes the connection that you have with your audience to increase engagement. Now, some of you may say, look, you're working at home, or you have an office where maybe it's a little bit, you want to change the scenery. So what you can do is, let me move this here. And let me just move this over. What you can do is go to one of my favorites. So I love having like a virtual background, okay? And if you are having a meeting, you can go to choose virtual background, and then I have plenty. Now, if you're in a professional meeting, or if you don't feel that it's appropriate for your audience, what you can do is stick to some of the Cornell branding. So here are some of the virtual backgrounds that I have saved. Okay, so this is the Belfer building, the Belfer building. Here is another background that I am taking from branding, okay? And here's another background. So how do you actually create an engaging background or background? What you can do is you can go to add image, click here. You can either add an image or you can add a video. So what I want to do just for a moment, I'm going to switch it back to, I'm going to go to the campus, the auditorium here. Okay, so I'm going to click there, and I'm going to click out of here. Okay, so what I want to touch on is, let me just open a new window. And for those of you who are interested in using some of the Cornell branded virtual backgrounds, what you can do is go to this URL, okay, brand.wild.cornell.edu, and I'm gonna go to templates, and bear with me just for a moment. I'm sorry, folks.
Download, Sharice.
I'm sorry, say that again?
It might actually be under downloads.
Yes, okay. There we go. Thank you, Vanessa. I knew it was, I just had a lapse for a moment, but you can go here. You would definitely sign in with your Seaweed and password, and therefore you can download several of the virtual backgrounds. Okay, so let me get back out of that. Okay, so going back to engagement, okay. Now you also have the option of choosing a video filter. And again, it depends on your audience, okay? If you wanna have a little fun at a team meeting, you can definitely go to the video filters and you can have a little fun, okay? It's similar to how you have your app on your phone, and you can definitely switch up and definitely change your background. And again, this feature is only available if you update to the latest version. So let me say none, get rid of that, and get rid of this. Okay, so that's number one, definitely for increasing engagement. Okay, number two was definitely if you want to have a virtual background. Okay. Number three was choose a video filter if it's appropriate. Now, make use of chat, okay? So definitely, if you want to increase engagement, it's more of number one, I have my video on, so I'm trying to connect with you. Number two is I have my video on and it's not turned into a teleconference just by phone. So I would also encourage, not at this time, but if you encourage all participants to actually connect by turning on their video, that would be helpful too. Another way in terms of connecting with your audience. So that's another one. Okay, chat. So I'm gonna put in here, okay, and I'm just gonna send this, let's see, to everyone. Whoops, if I could spell that right. Okay. Let's see, technique. Oops. Oh, if I could only spell correctly. What technique or techniques do you use to increase engagement? Whoops. Okay, so this is a question for everyone. Okay, and I see there is a question from Susan. Are you on a Mac or Windows? I'm definitely on a Mac, Suzanne. Okay, how do we make sure we have the latest version of Zoom? Okay, that is a good question. Okay, so I'm just gonna read a couple of these as they're coming in. Okay, Zoom polls, excellent. Windows, call on students by name, yes, that's excellent too. But in this case, I don't want to put anybody on the spot, so that's why I definitely put a chat question there. Okay, ask questions, definitely. All right, so because I talked about one of the things that you should definitely have and the latest version, okay, so if you click up here, okay, maybe because I'm doing this, I don't know if it's going to, all right. Usually what you can do, and maybe because I'm already in the meeting, is that you can usually just click by your name, right? And then you can just go to update, and it will automatically say, would you like to go to the latest version of Zoom? So you can correct me if I'm wrong, Vanessa, but I think because I'm actually doing this Zoom meeting, I'm not going to be able to show anyone. Oh, here we go. Correction. Correction there. Check for updates. Sorry about that, folks. And definitely I'm done because I already did the latest. So again, sorry about that. Usually click here and it's way down at the bottom. Usually I'm used to seeing it up at the top. So sorry about that, folks. Okay, so I'm just gonna check again to see if we have anything else going on. Okay, now another technique, and let me just get rid of this and move this over, is that sharing your screen with your audience, especially if you're going through possibly showing a step-by-step process, you may want to definitely share your screen, which I'm doing now. So that actually increases in engagement. And you want to have a dialogue. I know a lot of people definitely said that asking questions, okay, using the chat box, calling on your colleagues to make commentary. So it's not just me as a facilitator or the host talking, okay. Other things that you can do is to increase engagement is add a video, okay. And so maybe a short video on a talking point, you can add a video that can be helpful. Okay, how can others join the sharing of screen? Okay, so basically what happens in my setting, right? I have it set up so that I'm the only person that's showing the screen. Because imagine if I went into my settings and allowed for each person to share their screen, that could be a little bit disruptive during the presentation. Okay, and I think, okay, Vanessa's answering some of those questions. Breakout rooms. So moving on, we went to chat, share screen. I just want to touch on record, okay? Because in advance, if you wanted to, you could record your Zoom meeting with yourself, right? And you can have some information that you want to share with your audience. So that's another way of connecting with your audience besides adding like a video. Breakout rooms, okay. So with breakout rooms, this is helpful in terms of, let's say if you're an instructor or faculty presenting, you may want to create a breakout room. And you know, it's breaking it up into 6 rooms for 10 participants in each room. And I could say create rooms, I could say automatically or manually. I'm just gonna say create breakout rooms, okay? And so I could actually name the different rooms. So for example, breakout room, we have these 10 individuals, and I see my colleague Pauline, and I see in the next breakout room, we have Cynthia, and the list goes on. So if I wanted to, I could actually rename the breakout rooms. I could say, let's see, super group. I don't know, I'm just, you know, making this up. Okay, and I could change it there. And if I wanted to, I could rename this group. Let's see, what could I name this group? Warriors. Okay, I'm just gonna do that. Okay, so this is another way that you can connect with your audience, and you can say, okay, everyone will be split up into a breakout group, and you may want to have maybe a video you're showing. And this goes back to if you're presenting in a classroom or even for a meeting that you're having. So you can split everyone up into a breakout room, and then you can give them like time to maybe view a video, right? Or read an article, a short case study, etc., and then connect back after a certain amount of time, okay? So another feature that you guys can see, right, is reactions. So sometimes during the presentation, if everyone is muted and people just want to show agreement, you have reactions and emojis. And so if Vanessa was talking or another colleague presenting and I don't want to interrupt them, and I could show thumbs up, right? I could show thumbs up, you know, I can clap, so many things that you can do. And after 10 seconds, definitely it will go away or fade away. Okay, yes, I see. Okay. Now, another feature is that as participants, you can raise your hand, lower your hand, etc. And one of the features that I wanted to discuss was polling, and that was also mentioned for engagement tools. Unfortunately, this morning, for whatever reason, that's technology, polling, as you can see, is not coming up for me. So this is where I'm going to switch over and get my colleague Vanessa to talk about polling, because there's definitely two ways that you could do polling. If it was showing up on my Zoom dashboard here, which normally it does show up, I'm not sure why it's not doing that today because I tested it out earlier. But I can create a poll right then and there. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, Vanessa, to show folks how to do polling when they set up a meeting in the beginning, and then polling kind of like on the fly.
Sure, thanks, Sharice. Would you mind if I could share my screen?
Yes, sorry about that. Over to you.
Hey guys, I'm going to share my screen really quick so you can see how you can set up a poll in advance. All right, Sharice, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
All right, perfect. So I'm going to head over into my Zoom account first, because one of the things about polling is that generally polling isn't an automatic feature that's available in your Zoom account. You actually have to turn it on first. So to do that, you need to go into your wildcornell.zoom.us account. All you have to do is type in this URL right here, and you're prompted to log in your seaweed and password to access your account, okay? Once you're in your account, like I am right now, you need to go over to the left-hand side and hit settings, and then you're taken to, you know, this screen that has a ton of settings that you toggle on and off, all right? And the polling is in the in-meeting basic section. And if you want, you can scroll down to find it, or you can do a search on the web page, so it's a little easier. But there is a section called polling, right? So the first thing you want to do if you've never used polling before is go to this part of your settings and make sure that it's turned on first. Then you would set up your meeting and the polling button should be available, all right? So there's two ways to do a poll. You could do it in advance of your meeting so that they're all kind of set up for you in advance, and that you know they'd be ready to go, or you could do it on the fly. So let me show you how to do it on the fly. First, I'm going to open my Zoom window, and I have the polling button available right here. So let me click on that, all right? So this window is going to appear if you're the host, And right now there is no poll, so you have to add a question. All right. So now this takes me to a little window in my Zoom account where I can add a poll. All right. And you can actually have multiple questions at once. It doesn't have to be one at a time. But depending on how you're planning the flow of your meeting, you might want separate questions, or you might want to put them all in kind of one go for everybody to take. So I am going to call this Vanessa's polls, just for my own categorization. And you can decide whether you want to make the polls anonymous or not. In this case, I'm going to make them anonymous. So now it's just a simple form that you have to fill out. One thing that you should know about polls in Zoom is that you can't have any open-ended ones because of the way the system is set up. So they have to be generally multiple choice, where there's one correct answer, or multiple choice where somebody can select multiple options that you've provided. So I am going to ask a question. All right, and then all right, so this is my poll. I've got 2 answers here, and I'm gonna make it single choice because I want you guys to pick one or the other, right? I can add another question if I would like, or just hit save and move ahead to do the poll. In this case, I'm just gonna do this one question for now. So let me hit save. So you guys can't actually take this poll yet because I haven't launched it. But if I needed to edit it, if I wasn't ready to go ahead, I could. But I think this looks okay. So I'm gonna launch it, and you guys will be able to see this on your screen and vote. So when you do see it, feel free to put whatever answer you think is correct, okay? So you'll see a poll on your screen to take, and you guys are answering it. But if you look at my screen, you'll see that I, as the host, have a timer so that I can decide how long I want the poll to be visible. And I can also see your results in real time. I know there's 57 of you on the call right now, so I get a percentage of how many of you have voted. So if I wanted to wait for all of you to take the poll, I could, or I could just decide to stop it, at 30 seconds if I wanted to. So whenever I'm ready to end the poll, all I have to do is hit end poll, okay? So right now you guys can see the results only because I'm sharing my entire screen. But if I wanted to, if I wasn't sharing my whole Zoom screen, what I would need to do so you guys could see the answers is to hit share results, okay? And that's how you guys would see, how everybody answered for this particular poll as a participant, all right? So that's how you would do polling on the fly. But what if you wanted to set them up in advance, all right? So let me exit out of this. I am going to go into the meeting I actually created today with Charisse. So when you set up meetings in your Zoom account, you have all of this, important information about your meeting. But when you set up a meeting, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, you're gonna see a few options. There's registration, which I had set up, email settings for the registration, and branding, but there's an option here, like a little subcategory called poll. So you'll see actually the poll that I just created, right? But you can also set up the polls in advance right here. So I can just go over here and click add, and that window pops up once again. So now all I need to do is type in another, I'll just do test poll. I'll make it anonymous again and say, all right. I'm trying to remember them all and I can't, so I'm just gonna do other in this case, and I'm gonna hit save, okay? So now I have the second poll available. So when I go into my meeting and hit polling, I now have in this little caret right here, that other poll that I just created, test poll number 2. So that's how, if you set up the polls in advance, you would be able to find them all right here when you launch the polling button during your session. So then I can just hit test poll 2. I've got it ready to go. I can launch it, and now you guys should be able to answer that poll on your end. All right, there you go. And you can see on my screen the real-time results that I'm monitoring as everyone's taking it. Thin Mints is, is it the winner? Okay, all right. There's always a fight between Samoas and Thin Mints. But that's essentially how polling works with Zoom. So they're very simple polls that you can do just to get some quick answers out of people. But again, if you're asking questions during your session, you know, maybe at different points, that keeps people engaged. You could do knowledge checks to make sure that people are paying attention to what you're saying. You know, you can just do some quick icebreakers if you'd like, using the polling feature in Zoom. But again, I mean, there's even though it's limited to kind of that multiple choice format, there's a lot of things you can do with it just to make sure that people are listening and engage with what you're saying. So I'm going to end the poll again. And remember, if you want to share the results, all you have to do is click share results. And I can always relaunch a poll if I want to get kind of a second opinion if we need to do it. Or if you wanted to ask a question, you know, for at the beginning of the session versus the end of the session to see how, you know, it worked out. If you ever want to see poll results later on as the host, I'm going to go back into my Zoom account. You can go into account management and reports. It might actually look a little different on your screen. You might just see reports up here under personal, but there is a reports button somewhere on your screen. And if I go to meeting, so if I go to my meeting reports, I can kind of do a search for when my meeting was that I did the poll, and I can actually download the poll results. So I would just make sure that I have poll report selected, and then I would hit generate for the meeting that I want to pull those results for, and then you get it as an Excel file that is downloaded to your personal computer. Sharice, I think that covers all of the polling, unless there's something I might have missed that you wanted me to show.
No, that was excellent, Vanessa. Thank you for doing that. And that was just another aspect of increasing engagement. If you have a co-facilitator or host, you can switch up and toggle back between who is host and who is the co-host. Another thing that I want to mention is, besides using slide deck or your PowerPoint, there are other presentation tools that you can use that are just as good, if not better, than PowerPoint. Prezi, you can use that presentation tool, and it gives you a little bit of an enhanced kind of engagement feel. Another option that you can use with increasing engagement is trying definitely Microsoft Sway, and that's another presentation tool. Another last note is that you can actually use QR codes. And QR codes can be used as, of course, a quick response so that you can use it to incorporate navigating your learners or your audience to another link, let's say for reading an article or anything else. So that's just another way that you can definitely increase engagement. And so in the end, when Vanessa sends the follow-up email, she's going to send, of course, information on a couple of things that I just mentioned, again, for increasing engagement. And her presentation on, which was about 2 weeks ago, right, Vanessa, on animation. You can use animation also to increase engagement. So in the end, Vanessa's gonna send presentations on definitely animation. Definitely poll everywhere, because that's a topic that we have covered. Vanessa covered it maybe a couple of weeks ago. Maybe a couple of months ago, I talked about Microsoft Sway. So there's endless ways that you can definitely increase engagement. So now I'm just going to look at some of the questions that have come in. Okay, so is it possible to save chats to review after the Zoom ends. Yes, there is a way. Correct me if I'm wrong, Vanessa. In the end, you can definitely save the chats. The only thing is the concern about private chatting. Okay,
Yeah,
so
you're correct.
chime in, Vanessa.
Yeah, I'm not sure who asked that question, so I'm sorry I can't address you by name. But
It's Jennifer.
oh,
Jennifer.
okay. So Jennifer, what happens is when you record a Zoom session, you get 3 files when the session is over. So when you're in the meeting as host, when you're recording, your computer starts like rendering the file, and you'll get a video file, you'll get a file of just the audio of the meeting, and then you get the chat transcript. So you have to record the meeting in order to have the entire chat transcript. And you can see basically as a host everything that was posted in that chat session, including private messages. So you would have a copy of everything essentially once you record the meeting and then end it.
Okay, there's another question that has come in. It says, can an evaluation form be added where participants can fill it out and it's submitted to you? I'm not 100% sure about that. We have other tools like Qualtrics, etc. So I am not 100% sure about that. Vanessa?
Yeah, I mean that would, oh, that's Joe. Okay, Joe, I guess it depends on what you are trying to evaluate. If it's a really simple form, like, did you enjoy the session or something like that, I mean, you could definitely put that together very easily in the Zoom polling option and just launch that before your session ends and get feedback immediately before people go. If you're looking for more kind of detailed information about like, well, how was the speaker? Like, did you have technical issues? Like, if you want to ask a lot of questions and the polling app isn't robust enough to do that, I mean, you can set up a survey, you know, in another, I don't know if you've used Qualtrics before, that's something that we offer, but it's a survey tool and you could send it out to everybody after the session. You know, provided everybody has registered for your session in advance, you would actually have everybody's email. So that's a way to kind of follow up and send an evaluation that's more detailed that way. So there's not really one right answer, Joe, that I can give. But I would summarize it as, if you're looking for really simple feedback, then yes, you can, you know, just use the polling feature in Zoom. And if you wanted to do something more extensive, I would recommend Qualtrics.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So thank you, Vanessa. So another thing that I'm gonna do right now is put in the chat, or excuse me, put a question out there, is you can use music. So how did people feel about if you signed in early? Definitely the waiting room changed it up a little bit and having some music. How did people feel about definitely um, having music in the background and a slide or a slide deck, or, you know, that's another way that you can encourage some engagement even before the meeting gets started. Okay. Um, okay. So I'm just looking to see, yes, the view, chat, etc. Okay. So, okay, we have one person. Excuse me, let me clear my throat. Sorry about that, folks. Music sounds interesting. Okay. Yes, you don't want it to be overwhelming. So definitely it can be used before the meeting to kind of, you know, relax people.
Oh, sure.
How do you set up music?
Yeah,
Okay.
I was
So
just,
this was, so Keith, this was an experiment that I wanted to try for a while. And I talked about it with Vanessa. So what I did was I created in a slide deck, right? And then I added music. So in the end, I converted that slide that I had, and let me show it again for those who didn't see it. Can you see my screen, Vanessa?
yes, I can.
Okay, so this was what I had, or Vanessa and I had play, and let me just cut down the volume so it's not too loud. So in the end, I created MP4 video. So let me cut this down. Whoops, down. So again, you could even use platforms like Camtasia if you have access to it. PowerPoint, you can convert, have a slide. I just picked a slide, and then you know, I added some music. So that's how I got that started. So let me stop that.
And as a follow-up to Keith too, when you share anything with sound, Sharice, I know you're sharing, if you could hit the share screen button.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. If you look at the bottom of that pop-up that Sharice has for share screen, which went away, could you try hitting it one more time?
Oh.
Yeah, there we go. So you'll see that she has something that says share computer sound at the bottom of that screen. And also optimize screen share for video clips. So Keith, if you want to play something with sound, you have to make sure that you check those options so that people on the call or on the Zoom session can actually hear it clearly. And Sharice already did that in advance, so that's why you could hear it. But when you do that for your own meetings, you have to make sure that those are checked so that people can hear the sound issues. Otherwise, you'll hit play and then people will just hear like dead air, except for you talking. So.
Right. Okay. So it looks like I don't see any other new questions coming in, Vanessa. So definitely thank you for attending today's Tech Tuesday. Hopefully you learned some valuable tips and tricks that you can use to try to increase engagement with your audience, whether you're teaching as a faculty member, maybe you're having a team meeting, and so hopefully you'll try a number of these tools out. So thanks for participating.
Thanks, Sharice. Thank you to everybody again for attending. And just to reiterate, I do have this recorded. I will put it online so that I can send it to you guys this week. I just have to upload it and do a little bit of editing. But I'll also include all those links that Sharice mentioned like during her session today. So I'm just going to compile all of that. I've got all your emails. So just be on the lookout for an email from Vanessa Puig that has all that follow-up information. And if you have any questions, you can just hit the reply button and we'll do our best to help, right, Sharice?
For sure. And again, don't be shy about turning on the webcam. You can always feel free to go to your backgrounds, choose a virtual background. And again, you can use a Cornell branded background. If not, you can, you know, choose whatever background you want. And so don't be afraid to connect with your users via using your webcam so that there's definitely engagement and it's just not playing telephone with just talking, you know, voice over IP.
All right. Thanks again,
All right.
everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.